What do Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku and Mo Salah all have in common? Okay, you've probably guessed it. They were all bought by Chelsea, loaned out, and have come back to score against them this season. With a loan system unlike any other in the country in terms of sheer volume of players, there's no denying that Chelsea's system is a fascinating experiment. But does it work for them? For their players? And is stockpiling talent unethical or just a part of the game in 2018? How many players do you think Chelsea have out on loan this year? 15? Nah. 20? Not even close. 30? Higher still. It's 37. A genuinely baffling number. I mean, just think about it. Visualise it. Imagine you get to a house party pretty early and they're all there. You'd think it was a decent turnout considering the time. From Michy Batshuayi and Ruben Loftus-Cheek to Jamal Blackman and Charlie Wakefield, the players spending the season away from Stamford Bridge vary a lot in terms of profile and potential. Every youth prospect represents a certain level of risk, so their scouting programme acts as a kind of portfolio management and risk diversification. For every De Bruyne you sign at youth level, there'll likely be 4 or 5 Josh McEachrons, but that needn't necessarily be a problem. If you send players out on loan and they do well, their value increases. In the meantime, you can check in on their progress and evaluate whether they might make the grade. Take Patrick Bamford, for example. The striker was bought for £1.5 million, spent 6 seasons out on loan before being sold for £6 million 5 years later once it was clear he wasn't good enough for Chelsea. Or Nathan Ake, who joined the club at 16 and made only a handful of appearances for the first team, but was sold to Bournemouth for a cool £20 million. He scored against them this season, but Chelsea have covered themselves with a £35 million buyback clause if he does go on to fulfil his potential. Throw covered wages and loan fees onto the big old pile of cash for a whole load of other young players, and it's not hard to see why Chelsea might think they're onto a winner. Plus, it's not like all the players sent out on loan are destined to be consigned to the scrap heap. Victor Moses, written off by most, seemingly just waiting to be sold, has come back into the fold and made himself a regular at Stamford Bridge, while Thibaut Courtois and Andreas Christensen have benefited from time out on loan too. But there is an elephant in the room. In fact, there are 3. Lukaku, De Bruyne and Salah. You can only have 11 players on the pitch, and if you're buying ready-made top-tier talent, as well as bringing through a lot of talented youngsters, something's got to give. Inevitably, it's the less established names that have to take the hit, and they can go on to burn Chelsea later down the line. And that's when you start to wonder what the bloody point is. When Chelsea are bidding £45 million more than what they sold Romelu Lukaku for a few years later down the line. When Kevin De Bruyne's smashing in the only goal of the game for the champions in waiting at Stamford Bridge. And when Mo Salah sticks one past them at Anfield. Sure, making a profit on young players helps balance the books and keeps you in line with FFP. Sure, they've developed some good players by loaning them out, but if you're letting outstanding talent slip through the net, isn't that largely irrelevant? Especially if you're going to end up spending all the profit on buying other elite players, who may or may not be as good as the ones you let go. Was splashing £40 million on Bakayoko and loaning out Ruben Loftus-Cheek really a good idea? Beyond the stats and balance sheets, there are also some less tangible aspects to the whole thing. When things aren't going well on the pitch, seeing an academy prospect come through and light up a game can really lift supporters' moods. And what about future prospects? Since the 2000-2001 season, only one player from their academy, Andreas Christensen, has played 90 minutes in 3 consecutive league matches. Would you really go to Chelsea with their track record of bringing through youngsters? Chelsea might have won 4 FA Youth Cups in a row, but this success hasn't translated to the senior side as yet. And they've developed a reputation for squandering talent. It's pissing off Chelsea fans, pundits, and people who just want to see younger players coming through the ranks. The club are perfectly within their rights to carry on as they've been doing. Ethically, putting profit before player development and well-being might well be less than sound, but as long as it works for them, they'll press on with it. And as for whether the cases of Salah, De Bruyne, and Lukaku will convince Chelsea to give more young players a chance, only time will tell.